Woo! Welcome to the Made in Bloomsbury podcast. I'm here with Federico. Hi, Federico.
Hi, Michael. Hi, Michael.
Welcome and thank you for agreeing to join. I met Federico at the demo day in Startup Bootcamp when I was giving a little speech on Green Cheddar, my previous startup. And Federico has been kind enough to join us today, and I appreciate his time. So tell us, Federico, tell the audience what's maybe run us through a quick bio of who you are and what you do.
Oh, yeah, definitely. First of all, for sure, I would like to thank you for the invitation. And yeah, I'm Federico Roviglioni, and I'm the COO and co-founder of Bufaga. That is a clean tech startup based in Rome. And but about myself, actually, I started my academic path in China in 2018. I lived in Shanghai for 1 year, where I decided to study Chinese. And where I came back later, I came back in Italy and started studying at Roma Tre University. And I've studied for 5 years modern languages for international communication, including English and Chinese. And later, I have lived actually in 2023 in Utrecht in the Netherlands, and I worked for 1 year at the World Food Program of the United Nations. But at the same time, we raised our pre-seed round with the startup, so we decided to be committed on the project with so me and all of my co-founder. And now we're starting the third year of our startup. We're doing quite good. So yeah.
Fantastic. That is very inspirational, especially to some of us who haven't fully finished our funding round yet. And could you tell us a little bit about what's your inspiration? What inspires you to do what you do?
So I believe that nowadays, for my personal view, I was really attracted from sustainability and for doing something great for our planet and for people. So my first aim is to create social and environmental impact. So I'm driven by these purposes actually, and I think we are doing some great job, even if we are still not very huge, but we are removing pollution, installing our devices, so it's already creating some impact.
Fantastic. Just to get into fundraising a little bit, the general zeitgeist in Italy and the EU in general isn't very optimistic when it comes to being able to close rounds, to even start funding rounds for innovative businesses, for startups and the like, especially since the beginning of this decade. So I was wondering if you had any thoughts that you could share on this front.
Yeah, definitely, and it would be a pleasure. As I said, we have already closed our pre-seed round in 2023 for about 240K. But here there is like a gap because, as you said also before, we met each other during the Startup Bootcamp program that we attended the program in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam. And our investors for the pre-seed round are from Netherlands again and UK. So we don't actually have Italian investors. And during 2023, it was a better situation from investment point of view. But during 2024, I think we have been struggling a little bit because a lot of VCs or funds decided to reinvest their money in the startup they have already invested. But I'm not saying on that is a VC point of view. Of course, we also need metrics and we need clients. And I would say that operating in the Italian market is like a little bit different and more, I don't want to say complicated, but there are some issues that we have to face day by day.
Mhm. So, what are the hard challenges?
Hmm. So hard challenges for us are for sure that we provide a solution and services that are based on hardware and software integration. So when we hear that doing hardware products is harder than software is definitely work. It's definitely true. I can guarantee. but we struggled during our first years because you have to organize everything from operation with the suppliers and etc etc. So we already faced these kind of problems, but now that we are starting our with the first with our third year, we are aiming to scale. So I believe that also from this point of view, so scheduling everything, installation, mixing hardware and software, having data, and everything that is included in our services. I think that is the most like challenging part of our work.
That definitely does sound quite challenging. Speaking of cohorts that I attended was the UCL hatchery in a different setup. They did a very similar, they're called Volu. They did a very similar hardware and software approach, and they managed actually to give their services for the Paris, most recent Paris Olympics, which was quite an achievement. And I see that you're also making lots of strong strides. And I was wondering what your view on is potentially to kind of think about more towards internationalization. Sorry, let me say that again. Internationalization and the business models associated with different countries.
Mm. Yeah, definitely. So I agree because just imagine that we are trying to internationalize a product that again is based with is made with hardware and software integration. So this is just the first challenge. And later there are a lot of issues also related to the business model that we try or we figure out for every country that we are going to work in, because there are different regulation, different issues, different importation, about rules and everything really that it is involved. So we trying to work with different countries like Germany, the Netherlands, but every time we discover that we have to also, even if the products that we provide are the same, we have sometimes to change our value proposition and also our business model. Just to make an example, in some countries we can sell advertising spaces on our hardware products and in some countries we cannot. In some countries, you also, yeah, for sure, talking about European countries, are more interested in receiving sustainability reports or improving ESG rating, while on the other hand, sometimes corporate or governments have different aim and issues and regulation. So yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on, Federico. If you do have any links to share for the audience, please feel free to let me know and I'll put a link, or would you like to direct them towards a specific site or anything like that?
Yeah, I could have some links, but I think every startup had different like aim and regulation and also business model that they have to take
Yes.
into account from the beginning, then the starting. So I would conclude that saying that, yeah, it's true that 90% of startup fails, and that's true. But from my point of view, from my experience, I would say that if you'd like to start a startup or start working on a business in general, you better choose a very good team and people that you can work together without any issues, with transparency and trustfulness.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on, Federico.
My pleasure, Michael. Thank you so much to you again for the invitation, and I'm really looking forward to meeting you again in person. Definitely.
Fantastic. Likewise.